Yeah, thank you very much, Precious. I don't know if everyone can hear me. Going to share my screen. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me or and see the shared screen. And just give it thumbs up or so let me know. All right, thank you very much. Yeah. So thank you very much, Precious and Ramide for inviting me to speak at this session. As the topic says, this is about AI for business leaders, and the focus of this session is to discuss and look at a few things about AI. It's like the biggest buzzword right now. That's what everybody's talking about. It's one of the most important things you will see appearing on slide decks. It's one of the most talked about things by executives, even people on the street are talking about it. It's like just this bright new thing that just appeared out of nowhere and it's taking the world by storm. But as we're going to see when I proceed through this presentation, we'll sort of go a little bit way back into the history of AI. Sort of look at the types of AI that are out there and what people are doing with it, especially in Nigeria. I'm going to use Nigeria as a case study. There are multiple options all over the world, but I'm going to show you what people in Nigeria are doing with AI and sort of use that to sort of talk about how we as business leaders, as entrepreneurs, or even regular people can make use of AI in what we do, in how we do it, and in some of the services that we provide. One of the interesting things that I'd like to mention here was that a few weeks ago, or I think about a month ago, we're talking about and I talked about the fact that there's a role for Nigeria to play in AI on Twitter, but looking at the way the country is right now, people are not really pleased to hear that. They felt that we needed to solve power, access to roads, and a couple of things. But the thing is, we don't need to solve those things before we start to leverage AI. It's right there. It's a tool that can improve our productivity and make a significant difference in our baseline revenue, and the quality of service we deliver to our customers. So today we're just going to go through a few areas. So the first one is understanding what AI is about, demystifying the basics. When you hear about AI today, the first thing that comes to people's mind is ChatGPT. And but with AI, it's far much more than that. It's been around much longer than that, and it has multiple use cases, beyond what ChatGPT does. And then we're going to talk about why AI matters for business leaders, look at strategic applications, and then look at how we can foster innovation and adoption. And then we're going to look at key takeaways and next steps. So to just start this off, does anyone use or apply AI at the moment in their business? You can just type in the chat if you use or apply AI, and you can just talk about how you use it. I'd love to see. Yeah. So every day. Thank you, Ramji says she uses every day. Yeah, ChatGPT. Okay. That's the biggest AI application in the world right now. Does anybody else use AI in any way for what they do? So I'm just gonna move forward. Now, understanding AI and mystifying the basics. People usually talk about, okay, thank you for research. Yes, thank you. So I would say to a large extent, I'm speaking to a well-informed room. So that makes my job a little bit easier. So, but understanding AI is, people think about AI, and like I said, people talk about AI as ChatGPT. When you mention AI, that's what comes to their head. But AI is just a set of technologies, that allow computers to perform multiple functions. Like you said, like people say, the ability to see. There's something called computer vision, the ability to understand, translate, and written and spoken languages. So a lot of us have seen those adverts where you can speak or type into Google Translate, and it tells you what it means in another language. Although if you use it for some Nigerian African languages, at times it can get you in trouble. I almost got in trouble with someone. I told her something, and then she went to Google the translation to Yoruba, and she saw something else and she was annoyed. So I had to now go online and show a dictionary that this is what it means. The translation is wrong. But it's still trying to get there. still trying to get there. It's not there yet, but it still does function, especially for what I would say the popular language. It functions well for French, functions well for Chinese, I mean Mandarin rather, and it functions well for a couple of other languages like Spanish. I remember I wanted to sell something to someone who was speaking Spanish. The guy did not understand English. And the way we communicated was I would type in English, Google Translate would turn it to Spanish, and I would show him. And then he would type and then show me. And that was how we did that transaction. And I eventually sold that to that person. So you can imagine what significant difference that makes in business, for me communicating with someone who's only speaks Spanish. And it does a lot of things, analyze data, make recommendations, and more. And as we progress, you're going to see these sort of laid out in that way. But looking at the history of AI, so this is going to be very brief. One of the first case that people usually point to is what Alan Turing did with trying to make a machine to sort of mimic human response. And today, his work is so pivotal that today, the way people believe that you can test if an AI is intelligent, or people talk about uh, general intelligence, is to do the Turing test. So you'll be hearing about the Turing test for AI to see how well an AI can make an human to show that it's intelligence. So that is where the name comes from. Goes all the way back to Alan Turing, a British scientist who built one of the first sort of thinking machines, so to speak. And then over the years, we've seen the evolution. There was Eliza in the 60s that could mimic, was a chatbot that was just sort of hard-coded to sort of mimic some specific responses. And then 1997 was very pivotal when the Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov. Garry Kasparov was one of the best chess players in the world. I think he was the best at the time. But when Deep Blue, which was developed by, I think, IBM at the time, was able to beat Garry Kasparov, that was like a pivotal moment. But the interesting thing is, imagine 1997 when Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov till now, like till 2022 when ChatGPT came out. That's a very long time. It's a short time, it's a short time. But if you look at in human years, that's a very long time for between those two strategic milestones. And then, look at GPT-3. And then the interesting thing is that before ChatGPT came out, there was GPT-3 for automated conversations, but it wasn't popular. But it was when, and this is why this is important, it was when they made the AI. It's an application that regular people like you and I could easily just interact with. That was when the boom happened. Before then, AI was this thing that some people with data science knowledge, some people with computer science knowledge only used somewhere. But in 2022, it really became a consumer product. And that was when the boom came. When you talk about AI, people think it started in 2022. But it goes all the way back. Your iPhone, your Siri was sort of using some AI models. Your Google search, for example, has AI integrated into it. When you watch movies on Netflix, Netflix goes all the way back. When you watch movies on Netflix, the way it lets you know that you should watch this movie that looks like the movie you've seen, that's AI. So the interesting thing is that AI has been in our lives for years, I would say for like minimum of about 20 years, directly in our lives. It's been there, all the way back. But it's been directly in our lives for about, let's say 15 years, 15 to 20 years, thereabouts. Your Google search, in your Facebook, the way it suggests posts to you, you watch this post, and then remember Facebook way back, the way it suggests your friends, the way it suggests posts to you, AI had been in the background, in a way directing our lives, interacting with our lives in subtle ways, in ways that we would not have imagined. So the reality is that AI has been there, it's been affecting our lives. AI has been deciding who you follow on social media for years. It has been deciding what movies you watch. It's been deciding which bag you buy, what place you choose to fly to for years. So, and that's the reality. It has been significantly shaping businesses for years, even before ChatGPT became a thing. And that is why I believe this session is very important for us to see how we ourselves, can sort of integrate these AI systems into a business is to sort of, make more difference, to sort of, and then improve a baseline, improve our efficiency, or improve the quality of services that we deliver. Now, let's look at the major categories of AI. There are rule-based systems. All of us are familiar with loan approval. It's very simple. You answer a couple of questions, you input a couple of data, and it says, if the person's asked this, ask that, then approve. If not, ask for more information, or don't approve the loan. That's a simple rule-based system. It's hard-coded and hardwired into it. That expects some specific set of inputs. And it's same thing with triaging. Triaging, for example, is one of the commonest systems built in healthcare, where you want to see a doctor, and then an app comes up and says, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And then once you answer those questions, it tells you that you should talk to this person, or do this, or do that. So it's a sort of simple rule-based system. The rules are sort of hard-coded. This is what you need to do if you see A, B, C, and D together. If A, B are true and C is false, then this is what happens. If these are true, then this is what happens. So that's a simple rule-based system. Now, the other one that comes in is a narrow AI system, which was what I would say to a large extent has been dictating our lives for the past years. You apply for creditworthiness. It's sort of one of the big differences between the rule-based system and the narrow AI system is that the narrow AI system, in a sense, can take in much more data, like a lot more data. Like, can take in more data points in that sense. By data points, I mean your demographics, what you do, some financial history, and a whole lot of. The rule-based systems are always very simple, like maybe 5, 6 or things like that. And the narrow AI systems are the ones that also come into play with when I talked about recommendation systems. It looks at what you've watched. It looks at where you're from, where you're watching from, and a couple of other things, and then uses that to sort of make recommendations of a couple of things to you. Same that they use in fraud detection. I don't know if a couple of people would have had the experience where, especially if you've banked outside the country, you see cases where people tell you their accounts were shut down. And what basically happened was that there's some sort of anomalies that the AI detected, like maybe you always put $100 in your accounts, for example, and all of a sudden there's a $20,000 that just enters, like all of a sudden. It goes beyond that. Where the money comes from, how the money comes in, when the money comes in, and a couple of other things. And then it sort of can easily use that to say, okay, this is a fraudulent transaction, and then it flags it. So that's another. And then there's this detection, which is something that has seen more advancement outside the country than inside the country. But those are examples of narrow AI systems. I believe you get what I'm going to right now. So the narrow AI systems are like common ones you see around, like common when you say you hire a data scientist to help you harness your data and make meaning of it. Those are narrow AI systems. And then the general purpose AI systems are the ChatGPT, the Google Gemini, the DeepSeek, Claude, the ones that are popular right now. Those are the general AI systems. And then the future, which is what people are looking at, is when we talk about AGI. The expectation is that these general purpose systems are going to be super advanced in a way that they can present this presentation. Like I can give the futuristic AI, I can give it this presentation, and it will present it for me in a sense that it could be so great that can use an image generation system to mimic what it says, and then you think it's me, but it's not me. It's the general AI system that is there. The agentic systems are sort of in between general purpose and general AI. They're sort of in between. People are building agentic AI right now. A couple of them are out there. Google just released one yesterday about the co-scientists. So agentic systems are already out there. But there's also part of what you're going to see in the future, because those agents are meant to become more sentient and do things on your behalf in that sense. So these are the types of AI. This is not exhaustive. I just intentionally created these categories to make it easier for us to sort of have an overview of this. People categorize it differently, but these are like the four major categories. Now, let's talk about why we are having this session. Why is AI important for business leaders. I already talked about a couple of things, but I'm going to sort of lay it out in this area. So automating routine tasks, accounting tasks, matching invoices to payment. These are things that you can easily do with AI these days. And the great thing is that a couple of CRMs are already integrating AI into their products that you don't even need to build it yourself. You just, buy it along with their suits and then you get it done. And the great thing is that it's much cheaper today to sort of, deploy AI. You don't even need to have an in-house data scientist. There are companies that are building these solutions that you can buy, as sort of software as a business, and you can integrate into what you're doing. Using chatbots to answer simple questions. You see that in a lot of websites today where you can easily sort of, chat with something if you have some complaints. And it's quite impressive that, the replies are useful in that sense, even though it's not there yet. And I know people that are sort of, building that in a way that it integrates into WhatsApp. So, without leaving your phone, you can chat, sort of know what products they have. You see those WhatsApp chatbots, what products they have, the costs. It tells you where to pay, who to pay to. It sends you your invoice and everything. So those are things that people have built. And then I talked about recommendation engines, the ones you see on Netflix. You can build one too for yourself. Like if, let's say you sell a car, for example, you sell cars and someone wants to know what kind of car they can buy. You can build a recommendation engine that they input their choices, not just cars, any kind of product that you sell. And they can input their choices and then it sort of makes recommendations for them. Like, this is what we have, this is what suits you based on your age, where you are, the amount of money you have, and a couple of other things. It's been used to automate and improve digital marketing. That's like a common use case of ChatGPT right now. People are using it to write, using it for copywriting, using it for generating images and things like that. Using it for improving cybersecurity risk, and then you can use it to identify inefficiencies in your processes, or like sort of collect data of your business and then put it in and look at, okay, are we doing better, in this than the other? Like our lead time, how long does it take for us to be A to C, B to C? You can use a human to sit down and do that, but you can also just sort of run an AI model on that, machine learning model on that, and then it tells you what to do. And then lead generation and management. So these are the reasons why AI matters for business leaders. And like I said, I'm going to categorize this under 3 areas. One is improving efficiencies. 2 is improving your baseline, that's your revenue. And then 3 is improving the quality of the services delivered. So those are the 3 areas. So all these sort of fit under those 3 areas: quality, efficiencies, and revenue. Those are the 3 areas. I can see some questions in the chat. I'm going to answer some of these questions in the course of the presentation. So just bear with me.
Yeah,
So like I said,
we should have said at the start that we can take questions at the end just so we don't interrupt you, but the questions can keep coming. Thank
yeah,
you.
let's keep the questions coming. If I see one that's sort of like in the moment, I'll take it. But some of these are the ones are things that I've already addressed in the slides. So, but if not satisfactorily, then you can always ask and clarify more. But like I said, cost savings, efficiency, decision making, customer experience. Those are the reasons why it matters. Now, I'm going to talk about applications of AI in business. And like I said, I'm going to use Nigerian example. So it's not going to look like something that some guys in Silicon Valley, where they have all the advanced systems, where they have power, where they have very fast, high-speed internet are doing. No, it is some things that people in Nigeria are doing. And that's why I'm going to use strategy. I'm going to use examples from Nigeria. So the first one I'm going to talk about is something I built myself. We built it, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago. And the reason why we built this was that we felt that if you want to buy health insurance in Nigeria, now I'm going to tell you what the problem is. I mean, what the problem we're trying to solve was, and then why we did this. There are about 56 companies that offer health insurance. Each of them have a minimum of 2 healthcare plans. So we're looking at about 156, 160 something plans. So if you want to buy health insurance, what people usually do is you talk to a friend, you talk to someone, or you just use the one that your friend is using. But there's a better way to do that, in the sense that how do you go through 860 plans and choose the one that's most appropriate for you? So what we did was we built a system where you will answer a couple of questions. How much you're willing to spend, what kind of benefits you're looking for, and a couple of other things. And then that system now recommends three for you. It recommends three plans that mostly fit the kind of data you've entered. So it mostly fits the kind of expectation you have. So basically, we're recommending to you based on your expectations or your needs. And that is the way this works. So that's the way recommendation engine. So which is the same thing, very close to what happens with Netflix, for example. So, and one of the things we did here was that it actually recommends five. We now sort of used people's ratings to filter into the three. So the three you see are the ones that have the best ratings. And these are things that have been built into systems. If you buy on Amazon, you buy on Temu, you buy on Shein, a lot of these are already in there. When you sort of run through those filters, or when you buy something and it recommends that people also bought, you can see that people who bought this also bought this. So sort of uses that recommendation for you to sort of buy more. So that's it. That's a way for you to sort of push people to buy more in that sense. But the idea here was to make it easier for people to easily choose amongst multiple options. So that's one. Beauties in Nigeria, we launched it. We open sourced it eventually. And then I'll talk about Coolbooks. Coolbooks is a solar power, is a solar company that they build refrigerators for cold chain support for vaccines in Nigeria. One of the things they used AI to do was to know when to do maintenance or improvements or changes to their system of solar powered refrigerators across the country. So imagine that you have 50 refrigerators out there that are deployed, and you want to do predictive maintenance in the sense that you don't want to do maintenance when the refrigerators break down, because they are carrying vaccines that needs to be maintained at a specific temperature. So you want to be able to predict that this will break down next month, this will break down in 2 months. So what can we do to prevent that breakdown? And that is what Coolbook does. They use AI to do that. And another thing they also do is that they also use AI to sort of monitor the temperature of their fridges and automatically, give alarms and bells when something is going wrong. And as you can see, they use it also to monitor any detection of payment defaults. You can use people's behavior or people's history, sort of look at who's going to default, when will they default, and sort of things like that. So that is what Coolbook does. Coolbook is a Nigerian company, another foreign company. And they've been doing this, I think they've been doing this for the past 1 year or 2 years, thereabouts. So this is another example. Use it for turnaround, use it for predictive maintenance, use it for ensuring that your systems stay online for as long as possible. And then AI for customer engagements, like I mentioned, people are using chatbots for customer care, for triage, for information. People who have stores have sort of integrated chatbots into WhatsApp, where you can use that to ask, do you have this? You pay for something, it sends you a couple of instructions, tells you what to do, know to chat with. People are using it to build systems that help mothers, for example, to know more about the health of their babies. I know a couple of companies that are doing that in Nigeria. So this is something that is happening already in the country. It's not a far-fetched idea. I know people that built these, that have deployed these, and people who are using this presently. So these are, I'm just sort of using that to answer some of the low-hanging fruits, the real-life applicable use cases. And then talking about the industries, like I mentioned. Banks are using it too. Banks have a couple of chatbots. They are not there yet, but they do help to answer what I would call low-hanging questions that people can have on a couple of things. And then, AI for credit and finance. This is like one of the most popular use cases. Credit is a big thing in Nigeria, and people using AI systems to determine who to offer credit, who not to offer credit, monitoring default and things like that. So this is like one of the commonest. Same thing with banks are using these, credit companies are using these, people who sell buy now pay later are using this. So this is like one of the commonest out there. I won't dwell too much on this. And then they also use it for anti-money laundering, like I mentioned. And I talked to the other time about fraud detection. When you notice some kind of unusual behaviors on some accounts, you can use AI to sort of flag those accounts for human review. So the AI flags the accounts, the human reviews it, and then says, okay, there's something fishy or wrong going on here, or there's nothing wrong is going on. That's something that's happening. And then people are using AI for job recruitment. Jobberman, for example, they're creating systems where you can use AI to sort of automatically rank CVs. So imagine you advertise for a job in Nigeria. This is a big headache. Lots of the unemployment rate is really high. You're gonna get hundreds of CVs in a day. What people usually do at times is that they review the first set of CVs, but there's an opportunity you miss good applicants who apply much later. So one of the things people use the AI to do is to rank CVs based on how they comply with some specific criteria that you set. So you're looking for someone who has ABCD, who has done ABCD, who has experience in ABCD, and it sort of ranks those CVs, allows you to sort of now human to now sort of look through those CVs. And people are using this already, in Nigeria and across the globe. And then AI devices, So Sterling is a Nigerian company that is, they build Internet of Things system, like, sensory devices, for meters, for electricity meters. They can use it to forecast energy demand. So they look at how much energy you use over the past 5 months. And they can tell you, this is how much energy you're going to use before you run out. They can use that to sort of, with more sensors, they can use that to tell you where most of your power consumption is coming from. Maybe it's your fridge, or it's your AC, or it's your TV, or they can use that to sort of even tell you about what time of the day you consume the most power and things like that. And that is what Sustain is. Sustain is a Nigerian company, like 100% Nigerian company. So this is another way that they're using AI. So I don't know if I answered most of the questions that have been asked in the chat, but I know sort of brush through that to sort of show you what people are doing, how they're doing it, in which sectors they're doing it, and what specifically they're sort of using that to address. So now, talking about, fostering AI innovation and adoption, one of the ways to sort of look at AI is, and so I'm sort of going to take a step back and say that not everything requires AI. AI is a tool, but there are things that right now the human does better. And I'll give you a very good example. 2 days ago, Klarna is a buy now pay later company. I think about last year they had announced that they were laying off people because they believe that AI could do the jobs of those people. But the reality was that the layoffs were premature, in the sense that the AI could not really do those jobs, because 2 days ago they came back and said they are now focusing on people, because they realized that people were more efficient, they were more nimble than what the AI could offer. And now that sort of brings about the reality of the fact that AI is great. It can sort of, help you solve those things, help you make those differences. But there are things that you really still need a human to do, that the AI cannot do yet. Maybe in the future, maybe let's say in next year, or maybe next month, maybe someone is developing a system that can respond to your clients and address any kind of question they ask, no matter how they ask it. So, but right now, the AI systems that are out there can't do that. So you need to understand the fact that while you're pushing AI, you understand that there are limitations to what the AI can do. And if you don't do it well, it can actually hurt your business, can actually hurt your baseline, in the sense that if I go to a company every time and I can't get beyond the AI to talk to a human being when the AI cannot resolve my problem, then I might go to another company that doesn't do that. So that is why you need to understand the fact that not everything needs AI. You do not need to always use AI. You need to sort of understand first that what is the best way to solve this problem, and never think about AI first. Don't think about AI. Don't think about how can we use AI to solve this problem. Think about what is this problem? What is the best way to solve this problem? At times, the best way to solve the problem is pen and paper. The best way to solve the problem is an intern that you hire out of LASU that sits down and takes answers from people. The best way to solve the problem could be AI, for example. but that needs to be a strategic decision that is well thought through before you arrive at using AI. So I'm just going to put that proviso. But the thing is, how do you identify opportunities for AI applications? What are the critical problems or goals in your business? Um, those are the things you need to sort of look at. Okay, we need to be able to, there are people that are calling and they have very, very simple requests. Chatbots can handle that. They just want to know, where do I find this? How do I get this information? Chatbots can handle that. But when it goes beyond that, where people have atypical questions and answers, then humans. So you can sort of see that there are two problems there, but they're solved in different ways because based on the complexity of that problem. So that's something you're considering. What else do you want to do? You want to help people find things better. You can use AI to solve that. You want to detect things before they happen. You can use AI to solve that. But you just need to sit down, look at the critical problems you have in your business, the gaps, look at the goals. What is the end goal of this resolving this problem? That's the first thing you need to do. Second thing you need to look at is which areas require improvements or more efficiency. For example, you want to have better copy. You want to do better copywriting. You want to improve the quality of information or the mails or the releases you put out there. For example, you can always use ChatGPT. I'm honest, I use ChatGPT. When I want to write mails at times, I do a draft and I tell ChatGPT to sort of edit, put in the quotation marks and everything well, make it sound more professional. And it does a great job. Yes, it does a great job. It's sort of changed quality of stuff I put out there. So in a sense, so that's there, for example. So you have to look at what are you trying to improve, helping your customers find things better, helping your customer, improving the response time, reducing the response time, and a couple of things like that. And then the last question is, what is available and how can we use it? So those are the three questions you need to answer. If you can answer those three questions, then you're much better on your way to see how to leverage it. Remember, like I said, you need to identify the problem first. You need to identify which areas, and then you need to look at what is available. What is available doesn't mean which AI is available. No, it means what is available. At times, it's just irregular Google form that might be the solution, for example. But it could be AI, depending on the complexity of your problem and of the problem you want to solve and what your goal is. So I'm going to give you a 5-step approach. Anytime I talk to people about innovating on problems generally, this is what I usually tell them to. This is the approach I usually tell them to take. Look at the fundamentals of that specific problem. Let's take an example. Can anyone just suggest a problem that they think their company has, and we can sort of can use that as an example to make this more interactive? I see the question, I'm going to take it when we're done. Or can anybody just suggest a problem that they think they want to solve with their company, and then I can use that to run through this fundamental in a practical way? Anyone? Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a real problem too. So the e-commerce via WhatsApp. Okay, so let's run through e-commerce via WhatsApp. You do e-commerce via WhatsApp. What is the commonest problem that you get with e-commerce via WhatsApp? Do you have this? How much is this? And customers want a menu. Yeah. So, but the aim of a menu is that people want to know what you have and they want to know the price. Right? That's what customers want to know. I'm trying to break down that problem. The menu is not, customers do not want a menu. No, they want to know what you have and they want to know how much it is. So yeah, so let's keep it at customers want to know what you have and they want to know how much it is. So it means that someone is at the end of the other WhatsApp all the time, answering people. Do you have this? Or what do you have? And how much is it? So this is something that you can build with a simple rule-based system. So the menu is a solution. So you can build a rule-based system that shows, oh, welcome to these are the categories of products that we have and something, and then the person selects the first one. When you select the first one, maybe let's say you're selling books. Let's say you're selling books, for example, and the person wants to buy a book. person says, what kind of book do you want to buy? They want to buy self-help book. So you can, so one of the things you do is that you have to like create a catalog. That's not even an AI problem. You have a catalog. Once you have a catalog, it's easy for you to categorize, sort of build a parent category. So person wants a self-help motivational book, they select. You have popular people, and then they select one of those. The next thing they see is the name of popular people. They select one of the names, and then they see the list of books of that person, and then they select one, and then it shows them the price. That's a very simple system. Like you don't even need any special layer. It's a simple system that I think WhatsApp allows you to build right now, and everything like that. And then once they buy the book, they get a payment link. They make a payment. They get a tracking order, for example. They can always come back and say someone has forgotten, maybe so they clear their chart or something, and they say, what is the progress on what I ordered? So what does that thing? And the chatbot tells them to send their tracking number. It's because you should ask for an email where you send tracking number so that they can have it in for keeps. And then the chatbot asks them to send a tracking number. And then they get the tracking number. Once they send the chatbot the tracking number, when they send the tracking number to the chatbot is connected to your system and it automatically pulls data from the back of your system, telling them, oh, your book is so it's presently being packaged, blah blah blah, and it's going to be delivered on. So that is something you can use a chatbot to do. Basically, they don't need to make a call. They don't need to even go to a website. They can always do all of that on your WhatsApp chatbots in that sense. So there are a couple of other things like that. But the basic problem here is that you're trying to create a system where it's easy for your customers to get information on what you sell, get pricing on what you sell, get information on the progress of their orders, and then track their orders and then get any other information. So that's the problem you're trying to solve. And like I said, strip the problem down to its core. You need to strip it down. What are they trying to do? The customers need information across those multiple areas. Now you need to look at the intricacies of the problem. You are depending on the kind of market you are addressing. Your customers might not, in a sense, speak perfect English. So if you're trying to use a system that needs people to input perfect English, then you're going to have some challenges. But these days, you don't even need to speak perfect English. With the kind of chatbots that are available these days, you can sort of understand, semantically understand what you're saying without them saying that thing specifically. You know, humans, the way people will chat like, where is my so and so, that kind of stuff. So that's something you can use AI, for example, the new language model system to solve. So dive into the intricacies of the problem. Your customers might not speak perfect English. They might not type full English. They might not they might not have, for example, they do not have like easy internet access. So, and people are sort of, data is not expensive in Nigeria, for example. So it's easy for me to chat through WhatsApp than to go and open a whole web page that will suck my data and stuff like that. So you're sort of looking at the intricacies of these problems, because you can easily tell them to go to your website and enter their tracking number, but you can also do it easily for them through WhatsApp. So using the system I talked about. So you need to look at what are the existing methods. So I'm sort of talking about the existing methods. So I'm on appraiser now that people are using to solve this. People can make a call. You can text to a specific number and then it's reply you by text, which might be extra cost for you because you're incurring SMS costs and SMS costs for you to sort of reply to those things. So that's another thing you need to look at. The text might be cheaper, like it might be more cheaper than using WhatsApp. And then the fact that you're using text means people don't have to have internet. They don't have to have internet access. So it means people are using feature phones. So those are the things that you need to look at. So when you're doing the appraisal, you're looking at the cost, you're looking at the existing methods, you're looking at the ease of usage, you're looking at how much uptime you can serve to people. So, and then you're looking at the effectiveness, where it falls short. Like as you can see, the WhatsApp approach would fall short for people who do not have access to the internet. So those are the things that you have to consider. Then you ideate. Once you sort of looked at the multiple options, the multiple methods to solve this, now sort of ideate, what is the best way to solve this? Like I said, you're not even factoring AI in yet. You're just looking at what's the best way. People can just make calls. They can just make a call and someone in your office types into a system and then tells them the progress or tells them what they need? Or how many calls can you pick? If you have a lot of customers, that means you need to have more people at your customer care, like 4 or 5 people who can take multiple calls at the same time. So you're sort of thinking of what are the costs of hiring 5 customer care agents rather than having one person who only takes already triaged problems, so to speak. And then you now synthesize and revolutionize. So like I said, if you already see that, okay, based on your cost analysis, you can see that you building an AI system or buying an AI system. So that's another thing we're going to talk about, that should you build or buy would be much cheaper than hiring 5, 6, 7, 8 people. By leveraging on AI, you can reduce the number of hires you need to make. So the AI, for example, can help you offset having to hire 3 people instead of hiring 7. So those are the things that you do. So the idea is look at the fundamentals, consider the dynamics, appraise the situation, existing solutions, and what effectiveness looks like. Ideate on the solution that does not even have to leverage AI. And then you synthesize and revolutionize by using AI, if that is what is applicable. So those are the ways that you can sort of sit down and look at those problems. So these are the other steps, assess what data you're. So the other thing that comes up is, when you now decide to integrate AI, these are the things you need to sort of consider. What data do you already have? And how can you use that data for that system? Without data, AI is nothing. So there are like 2 or 3 areas to AI. You're looking at compute, you're looking at data, and then you're looking at the human that develops it. If there is no data, then there is no AI, because the AI relies on existing data to sort of know what to do or sort of know how to react in that sense. And then compute is something that is more ubiquitous these days. You can always use, some cloud systems that you can always rely on, or your vendor has already built that and sort of integrated that into the service they're offering you. And then you determine which processes will benefit from the AI. You identify the use cases, already talked about that initially. Look at the potential ROI of implementing the AI. Now, at times, the AI could be more expensive than what you do already, and it might not save you money. So those are things that you really need to factor in. You should not use AI because everybody is using AI. These days, people just want to use AI so that they can say they use AI, not because it delivers any benefits, it delivers any improvements or anything. So those are things you need to also consider. But the other case is that the return on investments might not be something you can tangibly measure. If you look at effectiveness of response for your customers, your customer experience, for example, that is not something you can tangibly measure it in a sense, because if a customer is satisfied and they come back and refer more people, they can be your net promoter. But the thing is, those are not things that you can easily say, this saved us $300, or 300 saved us 5 million naira, or it made us this or that in the past few months. So that's the thing. Then look at the cost of adopting the systems, the training staff and maintaining AI systems. That is very important. Maintaining the systems are not cheap. At times you have to make subscriptions monthly. There are dependables that you need to sort of pay for. At times the best thing to do is to involve a consultant who helps you to sort of run through this, sort of ideate the process and evaluate the practicality of the systems that you're going to use. And then the most important thing is run pilots. If you're going to use an AI system to replace or improve something, run a pilot. Run a pilot for a month or 2, and then see if it makes a difference. So if anybody is selling an AI to you and you think you might use it, tell them to give you a pilot. Give you a pilot for a month or 2 or 3, and then once you're done with the pilot, evaluate. Has it made a difference? Has it made an improvement? Has it improved the experience, or is this going to improve our baseline and anything? It's important that you run a pilot so that you don't get hooked onto a subscription that eventually doesn't work out for you and you can't get out of it maybe for the next 1 year or something like that. Now, I'm almost done. We're going to talk about buy or build. Buy when you need quick implementation, when your needs are general. You want to build you need chatbots, sentiment analysis to understand the feedback from your customers, for example, or when you don't have technical expertise, and when you want to minimize upfront investments. The buy is cheaper upfront, it's easier to deploy, You don't need to have technical capacity. But build when you have a unique business case, when you want to have full control over your data, and when the AI application is going to be the core component of what you're building. And then when you have budgets for long term. So, and then, there are ethical issues. One of the things talks about responsible AI implementation, where you ensure that the AI you're building does not malign or does not make things worse for your customers. People are doing this these days, where they're using AI to make things worse for people, in the sense that, make it more difficult for people to access credit facilities, make it more difficult for people to access needed things that would be essential for them in that sense. So we should ensure that whatever AI we build does not make things worse, that actually improves it. And that is why you need to sort of evaluate your systems to know that, okay, is this sort of ordering people? For example, like I mentioned the other time, if you build systems that people who do not speak perfect English cannot use, then you're sort of differentiating them from being able to benefit from the positives that service offers. And it sort of talks about bias and fairness, where you look at eligibility for a couple of things, where you've built a recommendation system, you've built a credit worthiness system, and a couple of other things. Those are things that are important to factor into when you're building, implementing, or maintaining your AI systems. Now, these are things to note, is that AI is not an elixir. It doesn't solve your problem. It's just a tool. It's a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. It doesn't solve all problems. Actually, it even creates problems in some cases. And then the thing is, you don't necessarily need AI, like I said. And like I said, AI is probabilistic. It's not deterministic. Now, what that means is that a lot of the AI systems, they are saying there's a chance that this happens. In a lot of cases, they are not saying that this would happen. So you need to understand the difference between that. Means that at times, the AI should not be responsible for decision making. The human should be responsible for decision making, so that you can make better decisions. The AI is meant to support your decision-making process and not replace it. So it's probably because AI can tell you this could happen based on past data. It's not going to tell you for sure that is going to happen. And that is why you see when people talk about the accuracy, they will say 85%, 90%. There's almost no AI that is 100% accurate. It's almost none. Except the AI has seen the answer. Like, that is when it's accurate. But when it's trained on real world, when it's used on real world data, is almost never 100% accurate. So that needs to be kept in mind. And then, like I said, AI might not be beneficial, and that's something to keep in mind. So I'm going to take questions now from the audience. I know there's a question that I said I'm going to answer when I'm done.
Thank you so much. Amazing. There's so many questions. People are so passionate about this topic. So we're gonna actually let people unmute themselves. Maybe just raise your hand and then we can just call on you if you're keen to ask a question verbally. Please keep it very short, and be mindful of others. But yeah, please go ahead. So I think you wanted to answer one. Go ahead, Ayo.
Yeah, so someone asked about courses that people take, that lay people can take to learn more. So I think one of the best ways is there are a couple. So if you go on Coursera, there's an introduction to AI that is on Coursera. LinkedIn Learning has an introduction course for Coursera. The easy thing with Coursera is that if you're new to it, they give you this 2-week intro where you don't have to pay. I've forgotten what it's called. Don't mind me. It's just sort of flown off my head. But for 2 weeks, you don't have to pay. And you can always sort of run through that course easily, understanding your introduction to AI. And then people are already creating AI courses for business leaders like this. So they are simple layperson AI courses that you can take. So you go on LinkedIn Learning, go on Coursera, and a couple of all those online platforms where you can take courses. So many of them offer introduction to AI courses that you can take. That is very simple, pared down, easy to understand, and gives you a grasp of what AI is all about. Yeah, you can audit the courses too, since you're not necessarily getting a certificate or anything like that. So some of those exist online. If I do find some, I'll share with Ayomide and she can share with the community. But that's it. Yeah. And then, yeah, AI is going to be commoditized. It's already commoditized. It's already a commodity. That's the way I'll say it. It's doing commoditized. That's why it's getting cheaper and cheaper every day. Implementing, people are offering to implement AI systems for you at rates that you would not have thought of it months ago or years ago. So AI is already a commodity in that sense.
Thank you. We have something in the chat.
Yes. Well, I think the way to balance short-term AI with long-term transformational value is that it's all about that thing of sort of evaluating the ROI. So let's say AI gives you some good ROI in the short term. One of the things you need to sort of look at is um, can this short-term ROI, does it extend into the future? Like, can I keep, is it a return on investment that I'll keep getting into the future in that sense? And if you keep getting into the future, then you just hold on to it. But one of the things you can do is that while you're implementing in the interim for short-term ROI, you can now start to look at how can we transform our business long-term with AI. So it depends on what I would say are your goals. What are your goals? Is your goal to sort of totally transform your business or to sort of, get some sort of quick ROI? Now, they are not diametrically opposed. They're integrated because with good ROI, then it means that you're sort of also transforming your revenue in that sense. So it's a mix of both ways. So it's all about the kind of systems that you're integrating, the kind of problems you're solving, and then the kind of expectations that you have. So you have some quick problems. Your customers have a problem that you feel that AI can solve right on the spot. Buy and then integrate and solve your customer problems. But while you're doing that, conduct that evaluation I told you about long term, that you can look at in what ways can AI transform how we do our business in a long term, like cut down your overhead, help you expand, help you serve more people and things like that. So those are like much more long term. But right now you're trying to address the present. So it's all about present needs versus the long-term business strategic goals and how they come in. So it's just about juxtaposing the two. That's the way I would say you should address that. I'll take your question, Nick, but let me just
Yeah, we can do an audio question last, so we can just take the
yes.
written ones
Second
first.
one is, what ethical obligations do business leaders have when deploying AI? So the ethical obligations you have is that you should ensure that your AI does not make things worse, and in a sense, so it does not make things worse for your client. And that is why I always say that you should try to do a pilot. One is that if you're buying from someone, you should ask them, have you tested this on this group, on that group, or multiple groups, especially if you're serving a group that is different from where the AI was built. If they haven't, then tell them you want to do a pilot. Do the pilot, conduct an evaluation, and see if it's creating arms or it's solving those arms. And that's the way to do that. And then the ethical obligation you have is that you should ensure that whatever system you're deploying makes things easier, not worse. Like I said, there are people that are eligible for a couple of things, but because of the way AI systems have been built, because of the way the data has been collected, it can tell them they are not eligible, where in a case in which they should not actually have been marked ineligible for that. And then the other thing you need to look at is privacy and consumer trust. That is something you need to decide as an internal issue where you would have sort of built that relationship of trust with your customers. So for example, you can tell them whatever information you share with us, we don't use it to train our systems, like especially your personal information. We don't store this data, we don't store that data. If you store the data, you should put that, you should let people know what data is stored and how you're using that data. So being open and transparent with your customers is actually very helpful for them. What I've realized is that people actually don't care how you use their data. It is when they feel like you're not being transparent with them, that is when the problem starts. A lot of us are just sharing our data anyway. A lot of us are posting on social media and they're using our data. People don't really care. People do care, but they don't care the way we think about it. So being transparent with them is something that helps in building customer trust, in ensuring privacy. And then when you think about employment, like I said, it's an inevitable outcome in the sense that if I can do something with AI cheaper than I can do with a human, then I'll go for the cheaper one. It's just like the same thing. If you can employ two people and they can offer you the same outputs, and one is asking for lesser pay, you're gonna go with the person with the lesser pay. No, you want to reduce your overhead. So that's an inevitable thing. But the thing that needs to happen is that you need to ensure, like I said, the AI does not make decisions. So you still need to integrate humans into your processes. Data security. Well, protecting your data, like what people usually say is that if there's any data that is like into your intellectual property or your personal data, don't share with any AI system, except the user, except the company that you're sharing it with has already told you that these are the protected or encrypted system. But don't share with any AI system. Don't put it in ChatGPT. Don't put it in Claude or Gemini. Anything that is personal identified, because the reality is that they can see that data in the back end. They might not use it, but they can see that data. And that is why those companies are building what I'll call higher security versions, higher secured versions of their system. And those are the ones they deploy for banks, they deploy for healthcare use cases and things. But the general one that is out there, they can actually see what you're putting in there. So you need to be the one to sort of decide if what you have is something you are fine with sharing with the world in that sense. AI models could be critical infrastructure. Yeah, they could, depending on what use case they are built for. But as it is right now, people are building open source systems. So we are not really at that phase yet, but they could be critical infrastructure, depending on what data they are trained on. If you train a data, for example, if you train an AI on the information of Nigerians, for example, like personal information of Nigeria, that's a critical infrastructure that should not be exposed to anyone or should not be used in any way. For example, I'm talking about if the government does that. Or if you build a model that allows Nigerians to access a couple of things or that eases something, for example, then that's critical infrastructure that should be protected in a way. But the reality is that, with the way the world is right now, you really can't protect anything. Look at ChatGPT when it came out. They didn't open source their product. They felt that was an advantage. Facebook open source theirs. DeepSeek came and they blew them out of the water. So a lot of these things, people are building open source versions of them. So they could be critical infrastructure, but it depends on what use case, what data they are trained on, and what outcomes they keep. So it's both ways. Yeah, I know a couple of companies. So there's Awari. Awari uses generative AI. Awari is a language company. I think what Awari is doing is they're building AI agents that can help you to handle customer responses. Like this one, it can simulate as if you're talking to a real human being. It's not there yet, but it's close. But they're building that in and using local language so that you can serve people in Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, or any other Nigerian language. You serve people in Pidgin. Awari is doing that. Yeah, they're not Gen AI. Gen AI basically are the ones that use large language models, and that's just the difference between them. They're large language models, they've been trained on multiple data, they can predict the next thing, they can answer questions, they can edit text and things like that. The other ones, that I said, are narrow AI. They just input regular, what I'll call structured data. The data in tables already, ones and zeros, they can input that. Some of them can do unstructured data too, but that is what they sort of do mostly.
Sorry, we want to try and wrap up in 4 minutes, so maybe you can take the others and then come back to Mr. Olubowale's questions. I know he's quite passionate, he's asked a number, but we want to make sure the
Oh
others
yeah.
also get answers.
So
All right.
all right. So all right, identifying the right AI. I think the way to identify the right AI is based on the problem you're solving. Once you identify the problem you're solving, then you can look at what is out there. What are people doing? Does anybody else who have had this problem, what did they use? So that's a way for you to start. But the thing is that the easy thing is that if you're looking at solving problems of predicting, then the right AI to use are the narrow systems. You build a machine learning model that helps you to predict, that helps you to analyze your data. So you use machine learning. If you're trying to predict, that's a machine learning problem. If you're trying to if you're trying to recommend to people, then you build a recommendation engine. You use a recommendation engine. So it's sort of like very straightforward in a sense. Like if you have simple problems, people just want to know, if I have A, B, C, or D, what do I do? That's a simple rule-based system. Simple rule-based. If I want to buy something, I don't know what to buy. That's a recommendation system. If I want to know what would happen or what has happened based on past events, then that's a predictive system. So that's the way to sort of go about it. It's a sort of simple rubric, but you can also speak to a consultant who can tell you what to do. So scalable opportunities. Like I said, the opportunity, the ones I showed you are scalable opportunities. You know, people are building and making money from those already. You know, building predictive systems for AI, building credit worthiness systems, building chatbots. Those are very scalable. People are adopting those more and more. And those are things that you can actually look at as ways to sort of integrate AI. Some of the leading AI firms are the ones I mentioned. A couple of other ones are companies that are not into AI, but they are using AI. A couple of almost all of the big companies that you know are integrating or using AI in one way or the other. Most of the pure AI companies really do not do pure AI in that sense. They do it alongside a couple of other things that they offer. Extracting a summary from a phone with your iPhone 15, yeah. You can use ChatGPT. You can download the ChatGPT app. There's a ChatGPT app, there's a Gemini app, there's a DeepSeek app. They're all on your app store. Download that, upload the PDF. You can, so they allow you to upload PDF. Gemini does that for free. ChatGPT does that for free. DeepSeek does that for free. So download that, upload your PDF, ask it to summarize. Now, the way I tell people to use Gen AI is speak to it as if you're asking an human being a question, as if you want to ask me a question. Summarize this in one sentence, in 2 paragraphs. Keep it to this and this. So that's the way it works. You know, just imagine you're talking to someone, you're asking someone a question. That's the best way to go about that. Yes, I know of one. My team is actually building one. We're releasing it we should release it in a couple of months that we built for pharmacists in Nigeria to help them pull out information from pharmacists. So I worked with a team that built one. We're deploying it very soon. Yeah, farm. I don't think there's a specific farm to focus on. I think you need to look at the farm. The way to look at it is, what are the biggest problems that people want to solve out there? And then that, to me, that's the way to approach that in a sense. What are the biggest problems people want to solve? Who are the people that can pay? Because you're not doing this for free. So those are the ways I think you should approach that problem. Someone wanted to ask a question, Nick. I can take a question and then I'll go back to Soluble Ali's
I
question.
think she asked on chat because there were many questions coming in on the PDF. But if she has another one, feel free to ask. Please give him a round of applause. This has been amazing. I almost want us to go for 2 hours. Thank you so much. And it's so super early for him. He's in the US, 7 a.m. We're really appreciative. Thank you so much for giving us of your time, your insights, your knowledge. It's been amazing. We'll definitely be staying in touch. Like Precious has put in the chat, everyone, Women's Month is coming. We have personal branding and then sales webinars up. So please click on the link to hear from us. Thank you again, Ayomide. And we hope to have you again soon, sometime in the future. Maybe put your email if people have questions that they want to ask. But yeah, thank you so much. The replay will be on YouTube in the next 2 days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm going to drop I'm going to share the deck. So for people who might want the
okay.
deck,
Okay, fantastic.
I'm going to
Yeah.
share the deck. So
Fantastic. Please do.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll definitely have the replay up.
Yeah, can I say something, please?